Okay.
All right, so we will go ahead and call the meeting to order. You go ahead and do a roll call for us.
Mandy Folks. Present. Julie O's.
Here.
Shelby Poole.
Here.
Brian Lee.
Here.
Natalie Schoberg. Here. Jolene Scordo. Here. Rich Washington.
Present.
All right, we are all ready to go. Julie, will you read the mission and vision for us?
The mission of WLA is to utilize leadership-based programs and strategies grounded in solid research, combined with the demonstrated success of core knowledge curriculum as a basis of a rigorous overall educational program that builds strong skills in math, reading, literature, writing, music, science, and technology. And the vision of WLA is to be a school where students and graduates become exceptional leaders and are prepared to take on the academic and leadership challenges they will face in high school and beyond.
Thank you. We get a motion to approve the agenda for tonight.
I make a motion to approve the Thursday, April 27th agenda.
Second.
There's been a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor say yes.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. And can you get a motion for the approval of our meeting minutes from March?
I'll make a motion to approve the March 23rd, 2023 meeting minutes. I'll second that motion.
Okay, there's been a motion and a second to approve the March 23rd meeting minutes. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. All right, so does anyone have a conflict of interest this evening? No? All right, so we'll move on to public comment. We have two folks who would like to speak, so we'll start with Michael.
Good evening, everyone. I know I spoke to you last month, but just a reminder, my name is Michael Reese. I'm the father of two children that attend WLA. They're in 4th grade and 1st grade. I've come to the realization that I believe I spoke last month in a baseball jersey. So this is a nice reminder that I need to get my wardrobe routine. So thank you for that. But the reason I wanted to talk today was to address the responses to the non-negotiable list that was sent out. First off, I think that it was well thought out. I think that there was a lot of very good points that WLA has made, and a lot of good points that MSA has made as well in their responses. However, I couldn't help but notice that roughly 50%, I think it was 8 out of 14 of them, came with responses that were more so on the maybe side than a yes or no definitive type sort of answer. And you know, I think I mentioned before, but in my corporate work, I work in sales. So a lot of what I do is contract negotiating and working through negotiating processes. And what I've kind of learned throughout my time in the sales profession is that when you leave the door open to maybe answers, that's the response you're going to get. It happens more often than not. And maybe answer is pretty much the worst response you could possibly have because it comes with a degree of unknown, right? You don't know if you have a deal, and you don't know if you don't have a deal. So where do you spend your resources, right? You could be very much investing all your time and energy into a deal that just is not going to happen because you just don't have a definitive answer. You don't have a commitment on that. So with the open-ended questions that we had, they led to maybe answers, and we received over 50% of those non-negotiables as maybes. If these are described as our kind of non-negotiables, right? A lot of what they have requested is to go back to negotiating. So I say, why do we go back to negotiating when these are quote-unquote non-negotiables? The responses put us into a position of more or less kicking the can down the road or moving the go, no-go line. And looking down the road, you know, how much kicking the can or moving the line has to happen before we realize that, you know, we're more or less wasting our time and our resources to do that. And in my opinion, I feel that our time and resources are better off making WLA the best that it could be, as opposed to realizing down the road that we wasted time and resources in doing it. That's it. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Michael. Next up is Joe Valentine.
Yeah, Joe Valentine. I have a son in first grade here, and then I've got a younger one that would attend too once he gets old enough. He's only 2 now. But I agree with Mike on his points and the non-negotiables, and kind of it just feels like we have almost less answers in some ways. And like I think like Ryan actually talked about at the last board meeting last month about it's on all the parents' minds. It's at the forefront, and it feels like we're not really getting any decisions made, or are we just kicking the can down the road? The goalpost keeps moving. It's like it feels like we need to make a decision. I did watch the last MSA board meeting, and I gotta say, and I know a lot of the members here talked about, they've been on boards that had issues as well. Like, I think Ryan especially talked about how do we merge that together, because, I mean, the fact is, it's still a mess. I mean, it sounds like when you listen to the parent comments, it sounds like there was some issue with a teacher being fired, and maybe not the correct, and I don't know the whole story, but it's like, there's clearly a lot of issues still going on, and that's a big cause for concern, because it's not to pick on them or make fun of them, like Ryan said, everybody's people, but like, it's concerning because we're talking about merging 2 schools together. So how do we have that marriage, if you will, or whatever, however you want to describe it. So, and it's concerning because it seems like there's a lot of issues that parents are bringing up there, how students are pushing a lot of policy decisions. And that's very concerning as a parent, because at the end of the day, they're still minors, except for maybe the seniors, but that's pretty concerning, because I don't think any school board should make rash decisions based on what maybe students are pushing, or if there's whatever it is that they're trying to push forward. And I would say too, like, to that point with what's going on with their board, it's still very concerning because their authorizer had to come in, an attorney had to come in. I'd be curious, I know a lot of, you talked about, you've been on boards that have had issues. Did it get to that level where you had to bring in an attorney, had to bring in the authorizer? I don't know, the way this board seems to be functioning is a lot better than what's going on there, and that's what's a cause for concern. So how does that work if you're gonna actually merge? I'd also like to point out the survey question, which I think I know where it looked like parents were maybe 50-50, and I thought a lot more about that, and I totally get it. At first you're feeling like, wow, there's 50% that are pro-merger, there's 50% that are against, but I don't know if that's a really good reflection, and I think the 2 gentlemen on the right here kind of talked about that, because I don't know how many people are watching online right now. I'd go in a ballpark guess of maybe 10 plus or minus. How many parents have watched an MSA meeting? How many parents have read their policies? It's not to pick on any parents, everybody's busy. I mean, I could be doing a lot of other things tonight too, but it's concerning because I feel like, a question like, should we just continue to explore the merger? Sure, why not? I don't know. If you don't have all the information, it's kind of concerning. So is it really an answer of, yes, we're 100% in, we want to merge, or is it just, sure, whatever, for now, we're okay with it, versus you still have half that, the ones that are saying no, probably have spent some time, read the policy, maybe watched their board meeting, all that. Mm-hmm. So I'd like to hear the board talk about some of these points, and the final one too, which again, it may be controversial, but I mean, they passed that policy just in February, their policy 102.2, General Mike handed out a copy of, and it isn't to pick on anybody, and anything that's going on, but I'm as a parent, I'm not comfortable with my child being in the bathroom with somebody of a different biological sex. And I want to know where WLA stands on that as a board. Are you going to merge together? Where does that policy go? I didn't hear anybody talk about that still, and I'd really like to hear you guys talk about that tonight. Because I think it's a big issue and it should be talked about, and parents should understand where we stand with that. So that was all I had to say.
Thank you, Joe.
Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen. All right, no other public comments, so we'll move on to the board report. So just a few things I think we will talk tonight. We've got on the agenda to talk merger. We do have MSAs, non-negotiables, so to speak, from them, and so we'll go over those. And then we also need to set up Kathy's evaluation. So we will need to get surveys sent out to families and students to get feedback there. We already did the staff one, so we'll be able to use that, and then we will come together either next month or June. We're already there. to discuss those results. So those are the two big things for what I've got.
All right. I love giving that director report. For anybody that is not aware of it, Shelby wants me to keep it to about 5 minutes.
You get more than 5.
So hard. But everyone's got the director report in the packet. Responsive Classroom Foundation is going to be doing a regional workshop here at Woodbury Leadership again. I'm so excited about this. We talked about it before COVID, and they were, well, what does your facility look like? How is the parking? Really not sure about us. And after they reviewed all that, we've been on some phone calls with that. They said, yep, we're going to do leadership there. It's great for publicity for us. It's great to have other professionals come in and say this is a nice facility, well-run programs and so forth. A shout out to Megan Naif, our curriculum coordinator, who did the lion's share of the work to make that happen. So pretty exciting. Under financial management, the budget for the coming year will be presented next month, and we're working on that now. Mandy was part of that most recent meeting. It looks pretty good. Right now, Bergen has set it up for 3% raises for our staff. I'm going to go ahead and get contracts out to our staff members with that, and then we're crossing our fingers that when legislation ends or breaks for the summer, that maybe they will bump that up to 4 or 5% for schools. So those rates can all be redone when we finally get the final word, but want to get some contracts in people's hands now. Okay, that's good. Human resources, we've got a lot of things going on there that you can read details of. Filling positions, obviously I hate, and we all hate to see some of our team members go, but on the other hand, the new fills do look pretty terrific, so we feel fortunate that we can fill those positions. The bottom one listed there is we did hire Mr. Rice, Nicholas Rice, as a second WLA principal. He brings a lot of experience and skill to the position. It was a very tough decision. There were, I think, 9 of us on the interview team. We had 10 applicants. One got a different job and pulled out right away. Another one withdrew her applicant. So we went through 8, then we had final 3 come back. I think all of them would have really done well serving us. And then it came down to final 2, and it was really splitting hairs. But we did decide on Mr. Rice, and we will have him hopefully at the next board meeting.
Are you planning to split it by grade then?
Yeah, I think we're going to do a K-4, 5-8, and then one will have operations, one will have launch the new high school, something like that. But we really want them to come together. Both our principal as well as Mr. Rice said, wherever their skills are best utilized, they're pretty flexible, but I think they have to get in the same room, meet each other, and kind of help figure that out. Staff here at WLA all weighed in saying they just wanted Mr. Broderick cloned, so I think that they will be happy to have him, whether it's K-4 or 5-8. So we'll get there. Communications management, we'll talk about the VOA conference. If any board members want to attend that, I think we have Julie already. Is that correct?
Yeah.
And if anyone else also wants to? Rich wants to as well, okay. Jolene?
And they're doing training, aren't they?
Yeah, and that's what this is.
I need my 300 course.
Okay. So the school will pay for this Wednesday board training. The school will pay the fee, but it doesn't go through VOA. It actually goes through MSBA. So you can get a good day of training, and we pay for that $235 expense.
So that's for the Wednesday?
Yeah, that's
It was Monday through Wednesday, right?
Monday through Wednesday. It's Monday night starts with the awards banquet, welcome reception. Breakout sessions Tuesday, and then Wednesday is board training or more breakout sessions. So between the school and VOA, we pay for everything.
So this is not us, this is MSBA, because their registration closes after the actual training.
Yeah, I don't know about that, but we
This is not it,
representative.
this is not, this is separate.
Yeah, this is
Okay.
Sorry, this is
Okay.
from MSBA. It's confusing because we're
It's
talking about it right
during
now,
the-
and we keep looking at it, but this is a different thing. This right here.
Well, we
Right?
have
Also,
someone
this has
from
nothing to
VOA.
It's
do-
during Oh,
Yeah,
Just
skinny
kidding,
pump.
Gene.
oh, I'm
So
sorry.
this just came out, so.
This is not for the conference, this is for the training that's at the conference, maybe, so it's
Yes.
similar, but this isn't how you'd register for the conference itself.
Correct.
Correct.
Okay, that's what,
If you want to go or you want the board training, let me know, and I'm going to get you set up.
yeah, I would check your date. I feel like.
I need 300.
I know, but you'll have to do it within a year when you got SAT, and I think you would have gotten SAT before June. So like, I know you were. No.
Yeah,
She was
I
on the
gotta
board
finish
last
my
March, I know
results.
that. I think you got SAT.
Maybe I need to do it online like right
So
now.
I think you probably should check
And I don't
fairly
want the
quickly.
school to pay $235 when I need one lousy course.
All
I
right.
need 300.
So we're going to get everybody trained. Let me know if you need training or if you want to attend that. I want to get that, those items in. Okay, and
Can I just say
then,
something really quick?
Yep.
This is actually, this training would be the most ideal, for, I know we're gonna talk about elections in a minute, but for whoever joins our board, for the upcoming elections, this would be the most helpful for them.
Yeah.
Because then that would get all three of their trainings.
all three done right now.
Like right away, yeah.
Love that. Okay, terrific. Okay, and I'd love to talk a whole bunch about this big, beautiful playground, but we'll defer to our facilities report to get details of that. So that is going to conclude, because I know we're a lot of my other stuff is on the merger.
Yep.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you.
Is Brenda with us?
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry. Hi Brenda, can you wait 1 minute? Mr. Broderick, I am sorry that you usually stand up in the end and give us some safety and diversity, upcoming things, and I know you were going to talk about the Boston handout. If you could do that real quick.
So
Sorry.
I'll do it pretty fast. I'll give you my two big highlights.
Okay.
So as you're driving in, if you notice that we have a couple trucks that are kind of parked over by our new soccer field. So as our soccer field settled over the course of the year, there's been some issues with where the irrigation lines are. And so if you look at the field at this point, you might see a little bit of an up and down. So we walked the field the other day, and they're already out there ready to get started on some repairs out there. We knew that this was coming because we saw some stuff in fall where it was kind of settling a little different. So they're going to be repairing our soccer field, and then we are still in partnership with the city of Woodbury. They're going to be coming out very soon and then helping equip that field for soccer, and they're going to utilize it, and we're going to utilize it in a partnership. But if you've been looking at our field and you're like, oh, well, it's a little wavy, know that we know that and that we're working on that. So that's one thing. The other thing, if you were able to pick up a sheet like this, currently our 7th and 8th graders get the opportunity to go to Washington, D.C., and it's normally a summer trip. And we've had really good attendance from 7th graders, and then they want to go again when they're 8th graders. And so we've been having consistent years of going to Washington, D.C. So that team met, and they picked out an alternating destination that they would like to include. And they would like to include Boston. And so we met with the curriculum coordinator and the members of those teams to kind of look, does it line up with our curriculum? Are there things? And of course, Boston, Massachusetts has some pretty historical significance. It's going to line up with our curriculum, right? And so what they are proposing, and we will bring to the next board meeting, or maybe the board meeting in July, is a proposal to do alternating years with a trip to Washington, D.C., and then the following year going to Boston. So if you are one of those 7th graders that wants to go on both trips, that you have 2 different destinations on 2 different years. Okay?
Cool.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Brenda, now we're ready for you. You're muted, Brenda.
I think it's her, not you.
Okay, good.
I know.
Everybody, I will be presenting the financial statements for March 31st. I'm just going to jump to the third page, the executive summary. The key indicators, financial key indicators for this month. The working budget is still sitting at 669 ADM, and we're currently working on final adjustments to the working budget, And we'll be bringing that to the board next month as, presenting it as a proposed revised budget for this fiscal year. Our actual number is slightly higher than that. The school working budget currently is proposing a surplus of 288. But that is as of March 31st. We're currently making a few changes so that number will be changed for next month. The projected days of cash on hand are 101 days, very strong cash-wise, and we only need 45 days to meet our bond covenants, so we're really strong in that area. And meeting all the other bond covenants. As of March 31st, we are 75% through the year complete. So we're starting to wind it down. Our cash balance, the biggest line item on our balance sheet, is $2,242,242. That's kind of weird, but yeah, that is just slightly up from last month due to getting some of these federal funds drawn in, and sometimes they don't make the cash flow spend. If we spend the federal funds, we get the federal funds deposited, so from one month to the next. You can make it go up or down. But generally, our cash balance does go slightly down through the school year because of our state OPEB, which is 10%. Our state aid receivable year-to-date is at 0. And our state aid receivable on the balance sheet is, I don't have that number, but it is what state aid holds up, owes us right now is $296,000. So the number continues to grow. Sorry for that little stroller. So year-to-date revenues as of March 31st, we're at about 75%. Right where we want to be as 3/4 of the year. And we're slightly under at 70.7%. And like I said, we will be coming to the board next month. We did approve a first revised budget. We're going to come to a second revised budget. There's a few things that we want to change before by the end of the fiscal year. And the reason why we do more than one revision is because we want any expenditures to be in line with budget as close as possible. Because the auditors look at that number and they want to know why there's any big sways and investments to that. So we want to make sure that's as close as possible. We're also working on the 990 tax return. That's for last fiscal year. It's due on May 15th. And we all know that the legislative updates, there's a biennium legislative session this year. And we're currently hearing that the state aid increase for next year is going to be close to around 4%. We think that's going to be pretty much happening. And we don't know what's going to happen for the next fiscal year. We've heard 4 and 2%, 4 and 3, so we're hoping that it's higher, but we never know. So we're waiting for that session to end at the end of next month. And we're in the budget, we'll be budgeting conservatively so that we don't overestimate anything. And then we're also, so we're going to be coming to the Finance Committee next month with the revised budget again and then the adopted budget for 23-24. So we've been working with Kathy to make sure that all of the line items in the budget are reflecting what our cost will be for next year. And then the final item here is the lease aid application is already going to be starting to be compiled for 23-24 school year. It's due by June 30th based on your bond covenants. And so when you board members get emails for signatures for those related party questionnaires, make sure you get those back to Dustin Reeves, the new controller who will be replacing me here at the end of May. he will be sending those out to you. So it's be looking for emails from Dustin.
Brenda, I know the finance committee knows where you're going at the end of May, but I don't know that the board does. Would you like to share
Okay, I'm sorry.
your plans post-May?
All right, so yeah, this is, I've been working with charter schools for 20 years now. This is my 20th anniversary. And I've been working with public schools for 32 years. And in January, I decided that I'd like to retire from working with from working with public schools at Bergen KDB. There are things that I want to do. I have 5 grandkids, and there's just a lot of things. My daughter could use some help, and I just have some other things that I want to do for work, but for fun. Some things that I've thought about for years, but I never did them. And so I'm making a retirement change on May 31st, so that'll be my last day. So, see, I have a grandkid right here. I told him to whisper, but he's only 4. So he didn't listen very well.
Whispering is hard.
He's having a snap. Anyway, yeah, so Dustin is a controller at Bergen KDB. He's been working with charter schools for several years. I don't even know how many, more than 10 years. And he has several other clients that are big schools, and so he's been working with me on the transition, and he's been coming to finance meetings. He actually prepared these financial statements, and so he will be replacing me at the end of May, and he's already been doing things in the background as a transition, so I can train him on your school. And I think that he'll be a really good fit for your school. He actually is also the controller for Math and Science Academy. And so we picked him as the person to fill my shoes here at WLA, knowing that he already works for MSA. And so if you do merge in the future, he would have the experience with both schools. And so if that happens, then he's already, in the loop on everything. So, but I really appreciate working with all you guys. I'll probably see you next month at the board meeting to present the budgets for approval, and then that'll be my last meeting. So I just want to thank everybody for the opportunity to work with you and your school, and I want to miss you all.
Well, congratulations. Enjoy.
Yeah, thank you, Brenda.
I'll still be working, but in different ways.
Yeah,
So,
all right.
but did anybody have any questions on the financials? We have lots of details here, but I kind of took up my time slot. But overall, we have year-to-date, the revenues are at 74.8%, and total expenditures are at 71%. So, some of these line items, they will get spent down. We actually do have, I think, one of the big line items in your budget, and this is, the facilities has plenty of projects to do. We did build in some building improvements of $205,000, and that's only at 30%. And those are the one-time expenditures that will, that if they go through the budget this year, if they do, they do, and if they don't, then we can roll over those funds to next year. So that's probably why your expenditures are a little bit lower than 75%.
We're going to probably spend those, Brenda. We'll talk about that next.
But those funds are there to spend on improvements. I think, like one example was the playground that we were talking about. So plenty of money there to do those improvements. And so if we, let's see, if we end the fiscal year, and I'll get into more of the working budget next month, when we present it for the revised budget, because there's a few changes. But overall, I think the biggest change we made this month was we did add some money to the contracted services for the janitorial cleaning, and we did add some money to the maintenance line item. Those are the biggest changes to the working budget this month. Other than that, we're doing well overall. And if anybody has any questions, let me know.
All right. Thank you, Brenda. All right, Jolene, would you like to?
Right, thank you.
Jolene, would you like to present the Finance Committee report?
Sure. We had our regularly scheduled meeting Wednesday, April 12th at 4:30. It was a virtual meeting. We had Mandy, Judith, Brandon, myself were present. Bruna, Dr. Mortensen, and Dustin were not present for our meeting. We had lots of things on our table for discussion. However, we decided to table most of those and wait for the new revised budget to come out before we approved any of the contracts that were up. We did approve the lawn care service contract and the pest control service contract, however. So next meeting, Wednesday, May 10th, 4:30, virtual meeting. We'll have lots to talk about and approve. We adjourned at 5:30. Any questions for the Finance Committee meeting? All right, if there are no questions, I'd like to make a motion to approve the meeting minutes for April Finance Committee and the March financials.
Second.
Okay, there's been a motion and a second to approve the March financials and April Finance Committee minutes. Any further discussion? All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. All right, Natalie.
Yeah, so the governance committee met on April 13th at 4:30 on Zoom. We had Kathy, Shelby, and I there, and then we had Megan Nave there to present some ideas for a grading policy. And that's what we spent the bulk of the meeting on, is just kind of talking through what she had come up with and kind of what we're doing now. And our goal is to kind of just create clarity for teachers and parents on how we grade and kind of just make it clear to everyone so that there's no question come report time of what everything means. And just because we're missing a few members, we're just kind of going to continue that discussion next month in May. So that hopefully we can, if we decide to go the route of making a grading policy, we can have that ready for next year, or else maybe just adding it to handbooks and just taking that route instead. We tabled a few of the 200 policies that we were gonna just working through because they're due. And then we also need to in May discuss committee like chair roles and members, since my term is up. It would just be Shelby left on the governance committee as far as a board member. So just putting that out there again as far as board members go. If anybody's wanting to make a switch to governance, there's plenty of room for board members. But we'll discuss that as a committee and kind of decide what we're going to do.
I would also say, I know I keep going to these people
These
that may
new
be joining
people.
us. I know, there's fans of new people, but I think your first year serving on a governance committee works really well. Just because I think that, our policies are the foundation of the school, and so I think when Rich and Ryan joined, we had some other spots we really needed people, but I do feel like our committees are set up pretty well right now, so that when you have hopefully 3 new people joining, that might be a
I
really
like
good
funneling
committee.
those people into that,
Mhm.
into the governance.
Even, they don't have to stay on their whole tenure of the board, but I do think even just spending maybe that first year on governance and really getting kind of the lay of the land and how the policies work, and then that even helps more when they move into like a finance committee or a facilities committee, like they have that foundation going into those. So just my suggestion.
I think
Mhm.
And then for future discussions, we just have annual policies that we need to review and make sure that we've done within the year. So I have a whole list to enter to first reading, just because those are the annual ones that we need to just take another look at and make sure we're good with those. Are there any questions about the minutes?
What's the cadence of the governance committee?
What's the what?
The cadence, like how often do you all meet? What day?
Just once a month.
Once a month.
It's the same. It's the same commitment.
No, I mean like what day?
Oh,
What?
um,
Is it every third Wednesday?
Thursdays at 4:30.
4:30.
So, on
Terrible
Zoom.
time for me.
I know.
Yeah, Rich picking up kids, remember?
Yeah.
No, 4:30 is a terrible time.
Yeah.
Or
I mean-
5:30, 6:30, when things are a little settled
That's when
down.
we're wrapping it up.
Are you stating you'd like to be on the governance committee?
We do have people who come in a little late, like, you know.
I think I would learn a lot on the governance committee, so I would be interested in doing it, but I don't like to commit to things that I can't.
Well, maybe if you're
So-
open for May, you can
There's
try to
that.
pop on. I can include you on the May, like, just email out with the link for Zoom, and then Rich, if you're free that date, you can just pop on the Zoom.
It's May.
May 12, May 11th.
Okay, I'll just put it on my calendar now.
It's 12. We're still on May 11th.
Yeah, May 11th.
Google Calendar.
I have
I
one
don't put it on my
side
calendar.
note. So, I have a little solved mystery. For a while, we've been talking about whether the committees are required to be chaired by the board member. And I couldn't ever find anything in the bylaws that said that. Well, I found out where it is. It is something we can change if we want to. We don't want to go that route, but every committee, when you start the committee, you come up with a charge, like a committee charge. So the finance committee has a charge, and the governance committee, and the facilities committee. Within the governance committee charge, it says that the governance committee should be chaired by a board member. So that I would recommend maybe each of the committees take a little time and just review their charge, because they haven't been reviewed, what I can tell, for quite a while. Facilities committee is our newest committee, so that one, and it's pretty broad. But I just think maybe in our next meeting for each of those three, to put on the agenda, just to have the committees review the charge and see if there's anything they want to change in it.
And we're able
Where do
just
we
to charge
find
it
It's online.
or change it.
Yep, so you have a tab on the website,
Yeah.
and there's a link to the
Okay.
governance committee charge on there.
Good to know.
And yeah, a parent actually pointed that out to me, so I thank them for that, because I was looking for it. We kind of always said that, like it was truth, but I wasn't sure where it came from, so I'm glad to see where that came from. And it does say that the treasurer should be the finance committee chair, which makes sense. I don't think it states who should be the facilities committee chair, so it's something we could put in there if we wanted to, but that committee can decide.
And then traditionally, it is the secretary who's on governance, which we'll all need to
Yeah.
change as well, too.
Yeah,
So
true,
there'll be a lot of moving pieces.
yeah, so,
But maybe tying those back together with secretary and governance would be good.
yeah, maybe. Mhm.
All right, then our next meeting will be May 11th at 4:30. Oh, it says location is on site, but it will actually be on Zoom again, as far as the minutes go. So make sure it looks right on the website, it should be the same. All right, well, there aren't any other questions, so I will make a motion to accept the April Governance Committee minutes and enter policies 410, 413, 414, 415, 506, 514, 522, 524, 616, and 806 in the first reading.
I'll second.
Right, there has been a motion and a second to accept the April Governance Committee minutes and enter the list of policies into first reading. Any further discussion? All right, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. All right, Ryan, the floor is yours.
All right. So we met, facilities committee met on, well, we were supposed to meet on 4/11, but it was rescheduled. We were waiting for information to come in, so we decided to take a intentional pause and wait for that to come in. We met on 4/18, so a week later. Began at 4:39 p.m. Present was myself, Dr. Mortensen, and Mr. Broderick.
I forgot to put myself on there.
And Julie, I was just about to say, because she takes really thorough notes. A lot of bullet points for me here. That's okay. Appreciate that. So the really fun, big thing that we had worked through and talked about where we're at within the process was a new playground for our campus here. Which we are super excited about. And so this is kind of what it looks like. We talked about what we would like that to be, how we would design it, what pieces would suit our kiddos, all age groups, all different personality types, learning types. And so we want to make it as, as best for everybody that we possibly can as far as our kiddos go. So we talked about the plan, what it would kind of look like. I went in and talked to Cottage Grove and Woodbury, both of their cities, and talked to their facility Park and Recs people. And they gave me 2 names immediately, and they both matched. So those are the 2 people that I went with. Talked to both of the owners of that company, told them kind of what our vision was, what we were looking for, and they ended up coming back with some proposals. Ultimately, we landed on St. Croix Recreation, which is our first bid number 1, design number 1. Guy by the name of Christopher Johnson, fantastic guy, super easy to work with. He's made things so far just seamless and really easy to navigate this process. Both of these companies have established playgrounds in the city. So, the track record is there, so there's no questioning that. The prices between the 2 bids and whatnot were fairly similar. However, the option 1 through Chris at St. Croix Rec, their playground setup was much more robust, more equipment. That was kind of a no-brainer. So a lot more bang for the buck. And we have a 3D rendering of where we're set right now, as far as what it looks like. So that's one of them. So that's kind of more of a aerial where you can kind of see how things are spread out. So our thoughts behind this was, I see, and I've said this before, but I see playgrounds like this as kind of like a coral reef for kids, right? Some kids are going to go there and go nuts on the equipment, right? Probably my kids. Other kids will just want to pot up with their friends and just hang out, right? Get on their phones, whatever they want to do, or just talk and hang out. So, it's an area not just for kids to play on slides and do the monkey bars and whatnot. It's a coral reef. People are going to go there for various reasons, have fun, interact, work on relationships, blah, 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 right? So that's what we're excited about, and that's kind of what we're trying to build and encourage people to do. Within that equipment there, you can see it varies for all ages, and that's another important part. We got people that want to do the physicality side of things and kind of do a circuit. We got kids that we're going to try to have what we call passive play equipment, which Julie kind of educated me on. And so we have some passive play pieces in there as well for those thinkers that want to exercise the mind more and stimulate their mind in other ways rather than in a physical manner. So, and also, make this ADA accessible for, wheelchair and whatnot. So we're doing our absolute best to check all the boxes. So everybody's, it's all inclusive. Everybody can use it in whatever way they would like. We just want to encourage people to just go to this area and do whatever. All right, so that's kind of our vision there. So what you're staring at right now is really the colors that match, which is nice. You're able to do that. This setup here that you're seeing, the bid came in at around $170,000, and that is installed, everything, top to bottom. What you see as far as a surface, just to answer some quick questions, because there will be some questions, I'm sure. Big ones are, what is going to be the surface area of this? That is just like fiber chips, manufactured fiber chips that are, they compost, so every year and a half, 2 years, they just do a top layer and resurface it. We could go real fancy, do AstroTurf or some sort of material like that. And if we want to do that, we are taking $100,000 donations from anybody, because that's what it's going to cost to do that. We would love it, but it just wouldn't be fiscally responsible. We don't have the money. So the vast majority of parks you show up to and play on in the area around here is going to have what you see here.
Is it like that, like springy stuff, or is it not? Is it more like wood chips?
It's more like wood chips.
So it's loose.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like
Molded.
yeah, it's not like your mulch that you're going to go buy at Menards or Home Depot. It's it's more geared towards this type of play and use. So, and again, they come in and they just resurface it, and it looks brand new. And the more that happens, so years down the line, the softer it gets. So, which is nice.
They do that once a year? They resurface it once a year?
Once a year would be the most. I don't predict it to be once a year. So neither does the installer. He's like a year and a half, 2 years is usually when they come in and resurface that. So.
Oh, it's just a one-time thing. It's not something that they continuously.
Oh, it's every year and a half to 2 years. They just come in and throw a top layer on.
Oh, and that's through the lifetime?
That's through the lifetime.
Okay.
Yeah. So.
That's not included in the contract.
No. Yeah. So good point. That's not included in the price for lifetime resurfacing. That's an expense that we will incur. So.
Oh, so we would have to pay them every time they come back?
Yep.
Okay,
correct.
That's what I was kind of asking.
Yeah, so that's the ongoing maintenance piece of this equipment, which quite frankly is the only ongoing maintenance piece of this, unless something breaks or whatever, but they have a great warranty. This equipment is made locally in Wisconsin, and they got service crews that'll come right out, so that was also a plus.
And if I can interrupt, we do pay maintenance on these two systems here, about $2,000 a year, and they revarnish and clean them up. So,
Yeah.
we're going to have an annual bill on this one as well.
Yeah, so that's not anything unique. So that's just general maintenance for a playground area. So we do have concrete curbs on there, and you can see there a little ADA accessible ramp for those that would need that. They do have plastic curves, and my mind went to, well, plastic's a lot more forgiving than concrete if we bonk our heads or do something else. Fact of the matter is, it doesn't happen that often, and it's going to take one long crew to run over the curb and chew that thing up with a lawnmower, and now we're $2,000 in a bill, and how many times we get our lawn mowed. So this is just a better route, and I agree with it. And so does, it's a little more costly to do it this way, but if we're thinking long-term sustainable, this is the right route. So yeah, so we're excited about it. So what does this look like? Time frame, we are trying to move on this as fast as we can, yet be diligent and smart and not bite off more than we can chew. We want to ensure that this is suitable for what we need. Keep kind of the excitement of going too fast out of it as much as we can. This is really kind of a phase one for this area. We got a fantastic soccer field that we're tending to now, but then we got the pavilion in the future that we're looking at, along with pickleball, baseball, so on and so forth. So this is really kind of the phase one to really get this thing kicked off and started. And so that's going to be great. So along with that, I had the utilities. I had all the crews come out for the utilities to check the field, marked off the spot where we're projecting to have that set. We got no major issues with utilities whatsoever. However, our guy Chris did say that he would recommend to have a private utility company come out because the other utilities that come out that are contracted don't pick up on all the skeletons in the closet under the ground where this private utility company would. And the last thing we need is to, have something, dig into something while excavating or putting this thing in. Yeah, we don't want any surprises. So I'm doing some mitigation for that. So we'll ensure that will happen. It's about $400 or $500. For me, that's cheap insurance to make sure that we don't hit anything. And it's $400 or $500, I'm sure, for just a service call for somebody to come out to even look at what we hit. So it's kind of a no-brainer. So timeline. I would be surprised if we get this in before the start of the school year. However,
They are confident, there is a chance of that happening. They are confident that, though, we will get this in with still time to play on it and enjoy it before the snow flies. And the kids will play on it anyways when there's snow on it. We know this. But it would be nice to have it when the weather's still nice. So I think that will work, but we need to move on this sooner than later. Chris is waiting on 3 or 4 POs from Minneapolis Parks and Rec, and we would have to fall in line. So for the most part, we have this shored up. So we project that we would probably have a commitment to them within a week, if not sooner. So
If we got that in, can we preempt Minneapolis? Are we still in line?
yeah, I was in corporate sales before I switched to copper for about 11 years, so I throw my sales cap on from time to time, so I'm working them. So I think we'll be
We
fine.
get a PO.
Yeah, I think we'll be fine.
What's the vision for how this will be used at school? Like, I think we've wanted to have something for the older kids, right? I mean, it looks to me from here that it's older, but is that the thought that we would continue using the rainbow systems for the younger grades?
But I'm guessing that everyone's going to want to be out on that one. But eventually we'll switch them off. We'll have different days. Right now, that kindergarten, first and second grade are on these different ones. They kind of rotate their days, so they'll have to rotate around. But, you know, we're a school that has a lot of kiddos. And when we first came here, we all remember, we thought that one was just, we thought we died, you had to have it. And we had a second one, we thought we were really in the big leagues now. And now we'll be adding a third, so.
Yeah.
And will there still be the parking? It's not going to be in that parking spot.
The city doesn't want us parking over there, so we'll be over there. They
Okay,
want us to
that's
put up
not
signs
parking.
that say no parking, actually.
Yeah, they're really passionate about us not parking over there. So
It's bad for the land or what? Like what? Or do you know?
No idea.
it's like a grassland thing or an environmental thing.
Listening, we do put up signs that say no parking.
Oh, yeah, there are already
They
signs
don't want
there.
us to, we do that.
Yes, okay.
Yeah.
I know we don't.
Thank you
Okay,
for
go
that
ahead, let me
clarification.
say it. Okay.
Could I make a suggestion for the playground? And
Yeah.
this playground, all the playgrounds, they really need a buddy bench.
Any bench would be great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Buddy benches are.
And that could be either through this, this group or perhaps a PTO or perhaps one of the grade levels would like to do fundraisers for those. But I think that's
Yeah.
something that we're kind of missing here, is to have that space, a safe space to sit, to read, to sit, make a new friend, that kind of thing.
Yeah, looking at it, I thoroughly agree with you. There really isn't a bench where anybody can really sit, or something similar to
Yeah.
encourage. And we have space. We have space, so.
And then lastly, crossing, are we going to have a crossing gate, crossing something, safety to get there?
Yeah, we're looking at, first of all, we get it painted.
Yep.
But we're looking at maybe having the patrol signs actually stopping traffic. We don't get a lot of traffic on this road, but the traffic we do get, and it moves pretty quick, those UPS and FedEx, they're just amazing. And so we need to make sure that we have a safe crossing.
Right, right. And we can't, like, you know, we have our arms here protecting our parking lots. We can't put something like that there, I'm assuming.
No, no. But
Flashing lights, bright signs, kind of thing.
Those one that goes in like the middle of the street, you know, it's like a crossing.
Like the turtle holding the flag thing.
Rumble strips.
I'm not saying you should do that, but
Rumble strips.
yes. Yeah.
let's talk about some more ideas about that.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so things are moving. So meeting with the contractor who would install this, meeting with the city coming up shortly to ensure that we are adhering to their wishes, because ultimately they need to give us the blessing on all this. Easements, all this stuff. There's a lot, there's a laundry list of stuff that needs to be satisfied. So we just want to ensure that all that, and we're playing by the rules, and this is seamless as possible. So we're working towards that. So. Along with that, we talked about fencing as well. That would come partially on Globe off of Hudson this way, and then go all the way along Hudson, and then come back on whatever that road is over there, I'm
Wood
blanking.
Duck.
What's that?
Wood Duck.
Wood Duck. So it's a 3-sided fence line, just to, I mean, there's a lot of reasons why we should have a fence. You know, safety number one, privacy, sound, keep kids in, keep balls in, frisbees, whatever, you know, and so on and so forth. So we had gotten a bid from a company about a year ago. We are going to circle back around with them and see where they're at now. And then also this project here, more than likely we'll need some fencing around the drainage pond or something similar. So I'm going to run some leads on that, and then also let them know that we have a bigger project if they're interested, which I'm sure they will be. So we can look for 2 or 3 bids on that hopefully in the near future here. So.
Thank you for all your hard work on this.
Yeah, thanks, Ryan.
Yeah, not a problem. My pleasure.
Better than HGTV, right?
What's that?
Better than HGTV, right?
Yes, thank you for saving me I was running out of episodes, so.
Well, I don't know if you heard, but the birds were very excited.
They were. I heard them. I heard the ducks.
So.
Yeah. Okay, well, with that said, I would like to make a motion to approve the minutes for facilities meeting on May 9th at 16:30, and that ended at, 4:30 PM, sorry, and that ended at 5:19 PM.
I'll second.
There's been a motion and a second to approve the facilities committee minutes. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries.
Let me just do a quick check-in. This money for this is already in the budget, but it's already been approved. I'd like to call and write a check or whatever I have to do tomorrow before prices go up on May 1st. Does the group feel pretty good about this? Are there any people that are like,
Yeah, and I forgot to mention that it was already budgeted, so this isn't anything new for us financially, so,
We don't have to like make a motion to approve the playground.
no.
I just want to make sure that nobody's like, don't feel
Yeah.
bad. Okay, awesome. I'll call Chris in the morning.
All right.
We're going to try to beat Minneapolis.
On the facilities front, I think we have a few committee changes we were looking to make. So first of all, we would like to, and I'll make a motion here in a minute, but just to go through them. So accept a resignation from Jason Livingston, who has been a long-serving member of our facilities committee, probably back to 2017, when I desperately called him and asked for his help because we were in the building across from Costco and we're losing that building. We finally got our director that we were really excited about. I felt like we were getting on a more even leadership foot, and then we got the notification that our building was going to be turning over to another school, and that we had a few months, but we needed to find a new location. And so Jason stepped on to facilities committee and on the board, and was just really, really, really helpful with that initiative. And so we put a group of people together and toured just about every site in the city that could possibly house a school, and a growing school at that. And originally had tried to look at this building, but originally they didn't want to give us a tour because they said we couldn't afford it. So we looked at many others, and we kind of kept coming back to this building and thinking, it's already set up as a school. Yes, it's not an elementary school, but it's a school, and many of the other places we were looking at were empty warehouses, or there was like a trucking business, or there was, different things that would have just needed an awful lot of work to be able to turn into a school. And we didn't have the time for that because we wanted to keep, kids learning. And so we finally got them to show us this building. I remember Jason and I came here in like February that year, and you couldn't come with us that day. And we finally said, well, how many students would it take for us to make this building our own? And we worked the numbers and kind of had this goal in mind of how many students it would take for us to be able to afford this building, and it was only a floor and a half of this building at the time. Again, we were really small at the time. And so-
240,
Yeah, what was it?
somewhere 240, I think.
240.
Or 260,
yeah.
somewhere in there.
So, and then we had so we decided to go for it, just kind of like we went for it with the playground today. I think sometimes you just have to, we kind of made this unofficial slogan amongst ourselves of, if we build it, they will come, kind of like the Field of Dreams. And so,
Right.
and they did, and you guys did. So it's been a really fun journey, and Jason's been really, really helpful through that journey. So I just want to give some credit where credit is due and thank him for all of his service. And it's time for him to work on some other
Yeah.
things. So.
Can I add
Yeah,
on to that?
for
And Jason never knew what he was getting into because he thought that first year he just had to help this committee of lots of our parents and some staff members find a new home. And then once we found it, we had the open house. And we went right away in one night to 400. And now, Jason, we need you to lead the committee to renovate. Now we need you to renovate first floor, and the next year, second floor, and third floor. Now we think we want to build another building. Now we want to build a soccer field. And I'm just glad he didn't get tired sooner. He's gotten a lot,
Did we forget to send some kids home?
I guess Steve Block will check on him, but I know we all appreciate all his hard work over these many, many years
Oh,
too.
and then lead a merger committee.
Lead a merger,
Yeah.
there was that too. Mhm.
So with Jason's departure, then he chaired that committee for a long time, and so I'm gonna, including in my motion, a recommendation to have Ryan step into that role, because he's been filling it nicely, and just happy to have your help, and obviously appreciate all of the calls and the work that you've done, even just on the playground. So you'll have lots of more projects, I'm sure, in the future, but just keeping this place, just nice to have somebody paying attention to the space that we are so lucky to have, and making sure it stays nice and works for all of our kiddos that we continue to welcome here each day. And I know you're up to the task, for sure. And then another person has unofficially been a member of this committee for a long time, but Ben Broderick, I don't know if we've ever officially made you a member of the facilities committee, but in his role has taken on a lot of our operations and building stuff for a long time. And so this will be no different, because I know you've been at those meetings for years now, but I think it's time to put your name officially on the committee. So I'd like to make a motion to accept Jason Livingston's resignation, to appoint Ben Broderick to the Facilities Committee, and to appoint Ryan Sheik as our Facilities Committee Chair.
Second.
All right, there has been a motion and a second to accept Mr. Livingston's resignation, add Ben Broderick as a member, and to appoint Ryan as our new chair for our Facilities Committee. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Congratulations. And yes, thank you, Mr. Livingston, for all of your work over the years. All right, back to Mandy for elections.
Yes, exciting. I alluded to it a lot already. I did put in your packet the official call for elections. So I'm going to kind of flip to it here if I can find it. Here we go. Okay, so today is serving as the official call to elections. This same flyer will go out in school messenger to parents and teachers. It's more difficult to find community members. There's not really a way to put it out there other than posting online. So it is posted online as well. But we every year elect one new parent, one new teacher, and hopefully one new committee member if we can find, or community member, sorry, if we can find someone who is willing. So if you have people that you know in your lives that you think would like to make a difference in education, please refer them to this position. That's typically how we get our community members. Keep saying committee. So interested candidates should fill out, there is a nomination form, including the board packet. It will be sent out. It also is online. So they will basically put together kind of a bio sheet with their information and answer some questions, and then they'll submit them to an email address that we have set up just for elections. It's elections@wamn.org. And we will gather all of those through the end of the day on May 12th. So we've got a couple of weeks to think about it, to submit your interest, and so we will gather them all, and then we will have a few weeks to put them all together and get them out and create ballots, and voting will actually occur that week right after Memorial Day. So May 30th through June 2nd will be the voting time. We will use Election Runner is the name of the system that several years ago, we used to actually do little paper ballots. You'd come in and you'd fill out your paper, and they had a special seal to make sure it was an authentic ballot, and anyway, but we've caught up with the times now, so now we use Election Runner, so you'll get one vote, and you'll have kind of your identification email on there, and all parents get a vote, or parents or guardians get a vote, teachers get a vote, and community members on the board also get a vote. And we will close elections June 2nd at the end of the day, and those, so we'll have 3 new people who will join the board at the June meeting. And that's the election.
Do they join in June or July?
July. Well, we could do either. We've done,
Okay.
officially, our term, last year we did June, but officially our term is up June 30. And so we kind of have just sat them at the last meeting in June. That way they're kind of on the board starting July 1st. But there have been years where we waited till July to see them too. I don't know if it matters that much, but. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know if you want to reach out to Manali that you guys
Yeah.
met. I don't want to.
Okay.
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 I'm not comfortable with that right now.
Okay.
I spent too much time talking about it and nothing ever really
Yeah.
came of it, so I
Yeah.
don't
Okay.
want to
Yeah.
presume.
Yeah. Okay.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Mandy, just for clarification for those listening or watching, where do these candidates have to live or reside in, just so everybody's not thinking of?
Well, you
Forest
would
Lake or
need
something.
to attend the meetings in person.
Right.
So you couldn't, but I don't know that you officially have to live in Minnesota. Or
I think
students
you
have
do.
to-
I
Do
think
you
you
think
do.
so, to serve on the board?
Yep.
That's a community member.
As a community member? I don't know. I don't know. I know our students have to live in Minnesota. I'm not sure if a board member, but you think so?
Because we checked somewhere.
Yeah.
Okay, okay, so
Just want to make sure
you,
that people aren't thinking, well, I have a great person, but they don't live in Woodbury.
yeah, no, Woodbury, I don't think there's any city requirements,
Right.
but maybe there's a state requirement.
Yeah, because Shelby's not Woodbury.
Yeah.
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 So, state of Minnesota, and you would need to attend, yeah, you would need to be able to attend in live meetings once a month and, you know, serve in other ways as well. You as a board will get to decide your calendar, so whether that could be something you talk about the next couple of meetings, but, so whether that is continuing with Thursday nights or moving back to Wednesday nights, we've tried different things. So if, don't not run just because Thursday nights don't work for you, because there's a chance that, you know, you could appeal to the board to move to a different night. That'll be something that the new board would decide together. That's all.
All right.
Thank you, Mandy.
Lawn service contract.
I love our lawn service company. It's on the very back of the packet. Emerald Lawn, they've done the work for us the entire time we've been at this building. Just to give you a flavor, Mike stopped once in the snowplow truck when I got here early and asked where this year I would like the snow piles for all the kids. You know, you don't get that kind of service when they know your school, and that was kind of neat. I'm like, let's put them over there and make sure there's plenty of them, because these kids get very territorial. Third grade's
Spread 'em out.
and right here, and second grade can't put their toe on the cross there, but, so, but anyway, I'm gonna ask you, Ben Broderick, to talk. I know you got the bids from Mike as well as from Puffy's Pest Control. We were doing that just when we needed we had a different pest control company come in, and it was just sort of this one-stop kind of thing, and we decided, you know, if we have mice concerns or other things, where they should probably come in regularly. So do you want to talk about both these bids before the board votes on them?
Sure. As Dr. Morrison said, our lawn care has done both our maintenance in the spring and the summer, along with all of our snow removal. And they're a wonderful company to work with. They're really easy to contact, and they are willing to come in at all sorts of different times to kind of accommodate a school. And they've been, over the last couple of years, I mean, we've moved our Phi Ed space to multiple different regions. So they were the ones that would come out and clear cut that field out there to make sure that we had a space that was at least playable, right, to go out there. So that company has done a wonderful job, and Mike's willing to take on any obstacle that's kind of in his way. So without hesitation, I push those forward. Our pest control, typically what we do is we spray for ticks. Those of you that have been around here for a while, that's our kind of our main concern. And so we would do that as an at-need basis for when we needed it. And this company kind of came forward. It is a stakeholder company, so they do have members that are in the WLA family. They have students that attend WLA, and they kind of looked at kind of what are our needs and tried to put together a package that would fit the needs of our school. So that includes the continual spraying for ticks and mosquitoes, which we don't typically have too bad of a mosquito problem. But those are in there, along with a regular check of the building for any other types of pests that might be in there. If you were with us last year, you know that when we were putting up that building, there's a few snakes that got into our building, so they would be handling that. If there's an occasional mouse that gets into our building, they'd be handling that, and so forth. So, really good company and a really strong fit. So.
Thank you, Ben.
Make a motion to approve Pappy's Pest Control contract and Emerald Lawn and Landscape Services contract.
Second.
Okay, there's been a motion and a second to approve both the lawn service contract and pest control contracts. Any further discussion? I do have a quick question. With the pest control, will they do what is needed with adding food service and that kind of stuff, like the food waste and those kinds of things?
Yep, and they also, I didn't mention this, they also give us all the specs on anything that they utilize. We love sending that out to our stakeholders, especially when they're gonna spray for ticks, so people understand what chemicals are being used. All are safe, but we just like to give that extra one. But yeah, for food services, they will be able to accommodate.
Okay.
So if
Yeah,
we
good
approve it,
point.
can I spray for ticks tomorrow? Kids are freaking out.
See if we can get them
Are
in.
you finding them?
They're out already?
Yes.
Yeah, they
Kids are,
Well, I just had to Google what a confused flower beetle was, so that's on their list. Good to know that won't be at our building.
It's on their list. Don't forget snakes.
All right, did we motion on that?
Yeah, we
Let's get
motioned.
going.
All those in favor, say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. All right, hot topic, merger updates.
All right, let's go. So, Michael and Joe, are you alert? Ready? Okay. Carly's good back there, all right. So, I'm not sure which one of you pointed it out. But we did send our non-negotiables over. Which one of you said that they came back as sort of maybes? I think, Michael, you said that. So I would echo what was said there. They also came back with what their non-negotiables are, and if anyone hasn't seen or read those are out there on their website now. I have listed 7, but there's only 5 listed, so I wrote them down wrong. But mainly they were, the graduation requirements would stay as is for the high school. The curriculum would stay as is for 6-8. We have not very different, we have different curriculum here currently at 6-8. They would want it to do their curriculum 6-8. They would want everything aligned, diversity-wise and inclusive. We want to maintain their name, MSA, for grades 6 to 12. They want a commitment verbally by October, average class size of 23 or less, and the joint expiration with due diligence starting, I forgot what the date was on there.
June 2nd.
June 2nd this year, correct?
Mhm.
And so when we look at the response that we got from from our non-negotiables and we add theirs, there are some things that make me scratch my head on that. And I'm going to give you a lot of information, and then I'm going to be quiet and let the board have some discussion time. So, and I'm just antsy, so I'm going to stand up. Hopefully everyone on the board has looked through this package. Has anyone not looked through this package? I know it just came out at the board meeting. So quickly, if you just look at the table of contents, you'll see how I organized it. This document is, the board asked for side by side last month, so this is in response to that. You'll see that what they have built over at MSA is pretty tremendous. They've done a great job, and we want to give them my back to you guys. Major kudos for building a quality school district. It's a lot of work, as you can see this layout, especially on the pages where they were their enrollment history and the graduation rate. I think they were there for about 9 years before they had 14 kids graduate. Some of the statistics are out here. So it's been a lot of work. They've done a great job. Keep looking, you'll see what I have outlined as our launch plan. If we do not merge, what will it take for us to start going down that road? We have a planning year, and then you can see the things written out there. It will take us a while to launch our own sport teams. We can join the co-op and have sport teams if we do our own high school. And then there's a lot of information on curriculum. You can do some curriculum comparisons. One of the things that really stands out, of course, is their list of grades 10 to 12 electives, which is just pages and pages of great stuff, or a long list of great stuff. Again, we can get there on our own. We can build our own high school. It simply will take a while. Is that clear? Am I going too slow? No. Doing good, all right. So then we have staffing needs. You kind of ease into some things until you're up to speed. And then the last page is MSA clubs and sports to give you a taste of what they already have in place. So this is where I'm going to start the discussion and be a little quiet. I take responsibility. This was my idea in the first place. I thought I had a lot of merit to look into. And even though I don't want to influence your opinion, I do want you to know that mine at this point in time is not to proceed with this. I want you all to share your own opinions. It just is not the right timing. And I don't mean to be offensive. I think they're wonderful. I think they've done a great job. Just not the right timing. Can we revisit it in 2, 3, 4 years? We certainly can. I think they've got some things to work on. I don't want to say too much. That's just how I feel with my heart and with my head. So let's have some meaningful discussion on where you guys are at, knowing that we can join them and partner, have a great high school, or we can take our time, and it will be a long haul, but we can build our own. So, let's talk.
I'll always be one to talk, so I feel like, Kathy, I'll echo I had already written down kind of like after reviewing your stuff before the meeting, that's just the timing doesn't feel right, and if I look at what our stakeholders, opinions have come out and people's, ideas and things that they're concerned about, it just doesn't feel right timing-wise, so I would just echo that. That's kind of how I summed it up in my mind, too. There's a lot of advantages, as you put in your packet, but maybe the time isn't right now for us to have a high school, like maybe that is not where we need to grow right now, and so in a few years we can revisit this option. So that's
I feel like Ryan did a great job of pleading to the people who had voted yes to reach out and let us know, what were the benefits that you saw, why did you vote yes, email us, let us know, show up at a board meeting, and We haven't had a single person show up to a board meeting. I did not get a single email. Don't know if any other board members received any email, but I think the overarching signs for me are, I'm in agreement. I think it's not the right time. There was too many maybes, and in my world, maybe usually means no. When I say a maybe, that's my way of nicely saying no. So I wasn't super, I guess, overwhelmed with their response to our questions, and they didn't even send us a copy of their non-negotiables. We had to go find them on their website. And so I feel like they've got a lot going on, and again, nothing against them. They are a great school. Their reputation speaks for itself, but I think that we are a great school too, and we could grow to be something great as well. So that's where my head's at.
I've always had timing issues as well, right from the get-go. It seems like it was wanting to happen too fast, and when you move too fast, you make too many mistakes. But I've been back and forth, and I've admitted I had a kid there, love the school, but they've got some things they need to work on, and the non-negotiables, it was, why did they even respond? They didn't. So I'm ready to say no. Maybe later, maybe never.
And I'm looking at this first time on the board. You know, coming from corporate America, a lot of things like mergers and stuff is pretty black and white. And I feel like they were approaching it that way. When, you know, kind of being on this board since August and, you know, having young kids, you can't just approach it, everything just black and white, because there's an emotional aspect to it that you have to take into consideration. And like I said, just looking at that survey, you know, I brought it up like, well, it's 50-50, but I don't really trust those numbers, because like I said, I've worked with surveys for a long time, and I know there's nuances with just looking at numbers, and you know, that right there, I just know the folks that are really passionate about are speaking out, and even the ones that aren't speaking out, like you said, if you are for yes, we'll show me why. And I think if we would have got that feedback, I would have been all open to listen and gain a better understanding. But like you said, we just didn't, and that tells me that yeah, maybe we just need to take a pause.
I haven't found a compelling reason to go forward as well. Compelling yes or compelling no. I just don't feel like the timing is right as well. And I think that it's time for us to table this idea and focus on our school and work on our plan and what we need to do, and not think about other things outside of our school. So, and Rome isn't built in a day. So we're on our way doing it on our own. So I think that we can continue that path.
And we've been successful in everything else, you know, throughout the years. Like I think I mentioned trajectory in the previous meeting, and I think if we do end up, you know, pulling off on our own, it'll be that much more fulfilling, right? In the long run. At least that's my experience with things. Normally, if you move too fast, you miss some T's and some I's getting dotted and crossed.
Yeah, and there's a lot at stake here, so, just to circle back around, I got, I think maybe one or two yesers email me.
Good.
I appreciate those one or two, but I think that kind of speaks to how engaged the yesers really were. I think their hearts were in the right place, but I think those that really did their homework and studied and put the time in, they probably see why we were discussing the things we were discussing. So. I'm just going to generalize. I'm not going to go into details. We've already talked about all this stuff. You know, pragmatically looking at this and taking a pragmatic approach. It's enough of us in this room have done life, and just to sum it up, my gut doesn't tell me that this is a good deal. You know, there's just something about it doesn't sit. We've all made decisions in life where we regret that, and we should have just listened to our gut. and also using her head. And a lot of things don't align as well. So it's just never really sat well, even if my gut was saying, yes, go for it. It would still be really difficult and there'd be a ton of work. And from step one, it didn't seem like our pieces aligned. And so to try to force that at the start, let alone working through a merger, I think we would have found ourselves, well, when we vote or whatever direction we decide to take, I think it would have turned out, not preferable, so. Anyways.
I am in agreement with what you're saying. I was struck by something in the survey that Joe sent us about the high percentage of mergers that end up failing, and the key thing that they found as to why they end up failing is because a lot of the people that were in the key positions that made those organizations so successful prior to the merger, a lot of them would leave in the process. And I'm not necessarily saying I'm scared that people would leave if we did a merger. I just think that we worked really hard to put people in the right positions here. They have too. I'm not saying anything about them, I'm just saying for us. And I think we've created a really great culture at this school, and it's something that's kind of an intangible. It's tough to sum up in words, but it certainly starts at the top and works its way down. And I think as we grow, assuming this is the path we go, as we grow on our own, we will work through a lot of hard things either way. Whether we merge or didn't merge, we'll work through a lot of hard things. Even just speaking of the policy that you guys have brought up a couple times, I don't know what our policy will be on that, but I do trust that the culture that we built here will work through those decisions really diligently with a lot of compassion and a lot of thought. And I think that the more and more we talk about merging, it would be hard to just jump into that already prepackaged, this is who you have to be kind of. And they've worked through those things and they've chosen their path on those things. And I think, I trust what we've built, and I know that we can continue to build whichever way whether we stay K-8 for a little longer and take our time building a high school, or whether we do it in 2024. I think this is the right decision.
I'm going to just add a piece, because I always do. I was definitely committed to exploring the idea of 2 great schools, close proximity. You guys are this, we're this. Hey, it could do this. Your business mind portions go off of the great reasons. But through this journey, I've learned that those people that do talk to me directly or share are passionate about a high school, not the MSA high school. Not that they don't like that high school, but some of our parents of younger kids, they're like, oh yes, we love the idea of a high school, but we can have a WLA high school. That's something to be excited about. I was, through this journey, sort of, I don't know if disappointed is the right word, but we'll do the analogy of the marriage. I've been married for 45 years, and that's a long time. And I really, really still like the guy. And but I wouldn't have gotten married if I wasn't excited about it, and having just sort of excited about it, right? So I wanted to see, I guess, 75% or more of our stakeholders excited about, then our kids have an easy entry into MSA. And that's not how it unfolded. And more of our people had passion for what you guys have already said. We've already invested so much in building this great school to this point. Let's just keep plodding along and do our continue. So I think you guys are probably ready for a vote, unless there's more. I don't know if you even have to have a vote, but it feels like we should have something.
Yep.
Make a motion to end, to table it, explanation, to table it till further date, or just to stop?
I think we just stop,
Yeah.
I think just
discontinue.
Well, I'll make a motion to discontinue discussions for leaving with MSA.
I'll second.
Cassidy, can we do a roll call vote on this one?
Randy Folks,
Yes.
Julie Owes,
Yes.
Shelby Poole,
Yes.
Ryan Sheik,
Yes.
Natalie Schulberg,
Yes.
Jillian Sordell,
Yes.
Rich Washington.
Yes.
All right, motion carries.
I would ask that, well, Shelby and I will get a hold of their board chair and send a memo out to them yet tonight.
Yep.
Okay.
Kathy, can I
Thank you,
add just
everybody.
one quick thing? I
Mhm.
just want to acknowledge the parents and the stakeholders that have been with us through this process and expressed their concerns, those that have been engaged, those that have been
Yeah.
frustrated, and felt like they weren't heard, or those that felt like they were heard and not frustrated. Wherever you land in that area, we heard you. We wish things could move faster than they would have, but things are a process, and I know you guys understand that. I just personally want to acknowledge that I appreciate your guys' passion, I appreciate you guys wanting to be engaged parents and do this for the kiddos. And so, although there was some frustration and, amongst the parents and the stakeholders, I get it, but we had a process we had to follow, and we appreciate everybody that reached out to us and wanted to invest into this process. So I just wanted to say thank you to all those that are watching and that are here. So thank you for that.
I
Being
love
patient,
that.
so Thank you.
Very well said.
Yeah, that was such a big, wonderful thing to hear through this process. Our parents love our school, and that was really nice to have all that affirmation, even though sometimes it came out sideways.
They're really polite for it, too,
Yep.
which is awesome.
Yep.
So,
Thank you.
Alrighty then.
I think it would also be nice if like, we're able to be like, here are the things that we're gonna do to grow, or like, here are the things we're gonna focus on now. Because those same stakeholders might be like, okay, like,
No.
how can we like double down on the WLA, like, us? So, I don't know.
There's always a board meeting next month.
Yeah.
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 We should. Let's
Yep.
revisit some of those things that came out of
Absolutely.
those winter committees and, yeah, maybe start working on those things instead.
Yep. All right. That was that.
Was there a vote or?
We did. We did roll call and
Oh,
we
you did?
approved
Oh,
it
I'm
and
sorry.
motion carried. We're done, Kathy.
Okay. Thank you. Sorry.
All right, board communication and future items. Again, our request for those who are interested in joining our board. We got a lot of work to do now, so that's exciting. So if you want to be a part of that moving forward for the next 3 years, make sure you fill out the form and get your name in the hat. And we will get out some surveys. I'll probably work with Mandy and Cassidy to get surveys out to stakeholders for reviewing Dr. Mortenson's contract, or not contract, but
Evaluation.
evaluation, thank you, for next month. So, it's kind of the things on the docket.
Just so that no one's worried, Kathy still has a year left in her
Yes,
agreement.
it's not a
So
contract.
it's not- we're not, yeah, we just annual review.
Just, yes, her review, so.
Thank you.
All right, so our next meeting then will be held here on Thursday, May 25th at 5:30 PM.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second it.
There's been a motion and a second to adjourn. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. All right. And now let's watch the NSA board meeting.
Mandy or Shelby, are there still no provisions